Yo, and we are live. Man, this is Seth from S.E.T Media, back with another one. Man, let's get right into it, because you won't believe what this Harvard professor came up with.
Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yes, this is probably not the typical podcast you get on. You're more used to, Barry Weiss, more, economics, more university professors, but you'll see why we've been looking forward to having this podcast with you. Rob, can you start off with the clip? I want you to watch this first. So this is him and Barry Weiss, and now you'll recognize after this who we have on the podcast today. Go ahead.
And it was in this moment in 2016 that I realized people lose their minds when they don't like the result. So what my paper showed, you'll see tomorrow, like some of you, was that, yes, we saw some bias in the low-level uses of force, every day pushing up against cars and things like that. Mm. People seem to like that result. But we didn't find any racial bias in police shootings. Now, that was really surprising to me because I expected to see it. The little-known fact.
Hold on. Let's go back, Chad.
People seem to like that result. But we didn't find any racial bias in police shootings.
Did you hear that? They went out, did a study, and they did not find no racial bias in police shootings. Let's see how they came up with that.
Now, that was really surprising to me because I expected to see it. The little-known fact is I had 8 full-time RAs that it took to do this over nearly a year. When I found this surprising result, I hired 8 fresh ones and redid it to make sure. They came up with the same exact answer, and
hold on,
that it took to do this.
Let's go back.
Now, that was really surprising to me because I expected to see it. The little-known fact is I had 8 full-time RAs that it took to do this over nearly a year.
God damn.
When I found this surprising result, I hired
RAs, research analysts. He had different research analysts come up with the same idea because he's like, bro, there's no way. Like, what do you mean there's no, why am I not seeing no racial bias in police like confrontations? Why am I not seeing no racial bias in police shooting? Like, what's going on? All right, y'all must be doing it wrong. So he took the due diligence and hired new RAs because he's like, you know what? Maybe the research analysts I hired may be biased. Maybe. Let's hire some new ones. And guess what? Same results.
8 fresh ones and redid it to make sure. They came up with the same exact answer, and I thought it was robust. And I went to go give it, and my God, all hell broke loose. It was a 104-page, dense, academic economics paper with a 150-page appendix, okay?
God damn.
It was posted for 4 minutes when I got my first email. This is full of shit. Doesn't make any sense. And I wrote back, how'd you read it that fast? That's amazing. You are a genius. And I had colleagues.
Nah, I'm weak as hell. Bro read the title and he was like, man, ain't no way. I'm not reading this. I'm like, bro, it's 480 pages. We took our time. We did the due diligence to do the research. At least you could do is read maybe the first couple pages.
Take me to the side and say, don't publish this. You'll ruin your career. I said, what are you talking about? I said, what's wrong with it? Do you believe the first part? Yes. Do you believe the second part? Well, the issue is they just don't fit together. We like the first one, but you should publish the second one another time. I said, let me ask this. If the second part about the police shootings, this is a literal conversation. I said to them, if the second part showed bias, do you think I should publish it then? And they said, yeah, then it would make sense.
Wow.
And I said, I guarantee you I'll publish it. We'll see what happens.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. Bro's a real one. I should have known by the dreads that he was a real one.
So it was, I lived under police protection for about 30 or 40 days. I had a 7-day-old daughter at the time. I remember going and shopping for, because, you know, when you have a newborn, you think you have enough diapers, you don't. So I was going to the grocery store to get diapers with an armed guard. It was crazy. It was.
But see, and that's what's killing me about it. It's like, okay, so I haven't read the entire study, but I need to though. But even if I disagree with it, or even disagree with him, there's no way I'm just going to start harassing the man just for coming out with a study that I don't agree with the results. Just because I don't agree with the results doesn't mean I need to harass this man. Like, obviously they did the due diligence. Like, bro, what's the famous quote of Ben Shapiro? Facts don't care about your feelings. I may not agree with Ben Shapiro at all, but hey, that was a smooth line.
By the way, first time I saw this reaction, you know, to this, it takes a lot of courage and bravery and brass to do this. Keep in mind, 2009, I think you're one of the top 100 Time magazine. And at the time, if you're 45 today, you're what, 30 at that time, 30 years old to be.
And really, he's an economist, so he's mostly about the money here.
On Time, I mean, that's a prestigious place to be. When you were reporting this, how much did you think about this could potentially affect my career?
Not at all. I think I was just naive, man. You call it brave, maybe I was just dumb, but I didn't think about it at all, honestly.
Yeah, that is a little reckless. Somebody pull you to the side and be like, dog, bro, this is not the results that the people are looking for. So if you put out these results, even if they are facts, there is going to be some crazy backlash to putting this shit out. I'm be real with you.
And I have an attitude that if you tell me I can't do something, I'll show you that I can. And so when people say, oh, you can't publish this, it wasn't coming from a place where they cared about me or cared about the people in the neighborhoods who I've been working for since I got to Harvard. And so my basic view was, look, the people in the street know the truth, and we can't keep lying to them, right? Like, I mean, I said the same, different time in that clip you showed. I say all the time, like, the conversations we're having in academia don't hit the ground in the neighborhoods that I care the most about, right? Like, if you go to my old neighborhood, and we talked about Louisville before the show, you go to Louisville and call someone BIPOC, they'll punch you in your face. Right? Like, that's not, they don't care about those kinds of things. And so I've always had the view that if this was your family, you'd tell them the truth, even if it was a hard thing to say.
Facts.
And you'd find a way to say it with empathy and with love.
Yeah, bro. There's truly where I need to tell somebody a bad truth or a truth that they're not going to agree with. I got to find a way to not say condescendingly. Because when people like to give truth, like say condescending, like, haha, I told you so, I'm above you because I got this truth. No, it's, look, man, let me bring you to the light, man, because I know what you're going to say, but I promise you, bro, I got some information to back it up and to help you out. It's going to help both of us out. You got to frame it a little better. You got to sell them the truth.
But you wouldn't lie to them. And so the idea that you would hide results because you are afraid of what people would say or how they would feel or how it would affect your career, it's just never been about me. It's about the folks in the neighborhoods we're trying to help.
What are you seeking? Because, you know, sometimes everybody's seeking something else. Like for me, you know, I have a certain life that I've lived and I'm trying to get to the bottom of a certain truth for myself that to maybe tie a certain issue in the past, conflicts that I was trying to overcome. What answer are you trying to get to the bottom of for yourself?
I'm going to put every ounce of effort I have in trying to make sure that kids, black or brown, don't have to endure what I did to get here. I'm trying to make the journey worth it, right? So if you'd come to me at age, whatever, 50.
Hey, I feel it, man. My man trying to make sure that, look, bro, for me coming out with the truth, if any black man want to come out with any type of truth, I don't want him to be as hard as it was for me. And all he did was go around in a police car, collect data, and found out that there's no racial bias in police shootings. It's like, yeah, it's crazy to hear, but hey, bro, it might be fact. I'm not saying it is. I still got to read over this stuff, but it just may be fact.
15. It's one of the loneliest days of my entire life. I walked out of the Denton County Correctional Facility. I just visited my father in there. And I remember that conversation because he was bragging about how comfy the slippers were that they gave the people in jail. I thought, that's like the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
And it's Roland Fryer.
I walked out of there and I looked up and I'll never forget, it was one of these beautiful blue Texas skies. And I've never felt more alone in my life. I was 15 years old. Where was I going to go? There was no one else. I didn't even know who my mother was at that time. Damn. My grandmother was here in Florida. And if you'd come to me at that time and you'd said, look, I know things seem pretty impossible now, but these experiences are going to make you impervious to the BS when it comes to race in America. And you are going to be able to analyze data and maybe make some progress for
those of y'all just tuning in, this is Roland G. Fryer. He's the guy who came up with the study that there's no bias in police shooting, no racial bias in police shooting.
For the next generation of kids.
For those of you just joining.
I'd like to think that I would have taken on that challenge. But if you'd come to me during that day and said, if you can get through this, we can have Chardonnay at 10:30 at Harvard University and hang out. We can talk about Plato. I would have said, no, thanks, man. Could you just get my dad out of jail? And so for me, it's you're right. I mean, when I first got to Harvard, I felt guilty. I had to figure out, I got to do something, right? And I feel like the clock is running out. So I'm in a big hurry to make a big difference.
Were you in our...
Hey, yo, y'all need to respect my man's struggle, my man. Didn't even know his mom to a professor at Harvard in economics.
Armenian, there's a phrase that I couldn't stand they would say to us, because of where we were at. Mechka, like, oh, poor Patrick, poor Bet Davids, and I couldn't stand that phrase. When you went to Harvard, did they treat you like, hey, you came from here and poor you, let us treat you this, or were you treated like anybody else and, the standards and expectation to perform? And if yes or no, did it do anything to you?
It's interesting. I don't know if anyone said poor me, but I do believe they looked at me different. I felt like they looked at me like I was an exception. Someone had beat the odds.
Well, a black guy at Harvard, let's be real, you did beat some odds. You beat some odds there, my man. Shout out.
Someone who was curious. The New York Times did a profile of my life in 2006 or so. And I remember, colleagues coming up to me and go, man, you sure you want all that in the newspaper? Because they talked about my family, dealing drugs and blah, blah, blah. That I wasn't trying to hide anything at that point. But the idea that I was an exception used to really piss me off, because this is not about helping a few of us beat the odds, right? That's insulting. This is about unfettered competition so we can change the odds, right? This is about figuring out how we give people real opportunities.
Facts.
So that they can do for themselves.
It was good time. Appreciate you for stopping by.
Pat us on the back. What we need to do is figure out how do we find hidden talent wherever it lies across the globe.
It's interesting. So let's go back to the study. And, you've shared a little bit about your background for, some folks who don't know. The study that you did, this specific study in 2016 that, we played a clip for earlier. When you're going through this process with this study, were you yourself...
Let me know if you want me to play the clip again.
Expecting those numbers? Or were you yourself surprised as hell when you saw it? And then how did that change your perception and opinion of things?
Yeah, because I want to know how you came up with the conclusion that there's no racial bias in police shooting. I need to hear it. I need to know how you got it done, researcher, analyst, and all. Let's let him explain.
No one was more surprised than me, right? I'm not proud of it, but I don't really like the police that much, right? I'm going to the airport after this, if they pull me over, I'm gonna be nervous, man. I think a lot of us would be. So I figured this was going to be the easiest thing in the world, right? People were out protesting and stuff like that after Michael Brown. But, flying to St. Louis and locking arms was just not my thing. I'm not saying it shouldn't be done. It's just not my thing. So I thought, here's what I'll do to help. I will figure out empirically what's really going on because we'd only seen a few videos at that point.
Hey.
And
Okay, so my nigga's seen. He seen the dramatization going on. He's just like, all right, look, I'm pissed off. I need to do something for my people. I'm going to go out there and get the research, the numbers, and actually show these people that, yeah, y'all are killing us at an unreasonable rate, that y'all have a bias against us. And he's trying to come up with those numbers. Sadly, he found the opposite.
Remember going to a colleague of mine and saying, here, I'm going to study the police, and here's an idea. And what he quickly told me was, you don't understand anything about the police. So how are you going to be going to figure out?
Make sure to like the video and subscribe.
So I embedded myself in police departments, and we can talk about that if you want at some point.
Appreciate y'all.
I was extremely surprised. I was sure that there was going to be bias in police shootings. As the clip said, when I got the results back,
let's take that back.
What's going on with race and policing in America? So I embedded myself in police departments, and we can talk about that if you want at some point. But I was extremely surprised. I was sure that there was going to be bias in police shootings.
He embedded himself in police departments. I hope y'all caught that, okay? I hope y'all caught it. Back to it.
As the clip said, when I got the results back, I hired new research assistants to do it over again, just to make sure. But once you have the results, once you have what you think is the truth, given your data, there's no other choice but to go out with it and try to educate people on what the data actually says.
And what is the data? If you can just actually give us the data, what was in the data?
What we found was that on lower level uses of force, so when it comes to pushing someone up against a car, pulling a gun, putting handcuffs on them but not arresting them, things like that, there were large racial differences in police use of force. So black civilians are 50% more likely to have force used on them in any given interaction. Even when the police say they're perfectly compliant and they're not arrested and there's no contraband, etc., they're still more than 20% more likely than white civilians to have force used on them. But when it came to lethal use of force, shootings, we found absolutely no racial bias in that in any way, shape, or form. And our data, I believe.
Okay, so we got one. He did go down to the point where he said, okay, police are more likely to get aggressive with black people as far as handling us aggressively. And let's be real. If you're black and you ever got arrested, I've experienced it. Let's be real. So, but he's saying that there is a bias in being handled aggressively for black people. There is no bias in the shooting of black people.
Is
what he's saying. Not set.
Discussed in the popular press because they're looking at kind of statistical snapshots. They're saying, well, the fraction of black people who are shot by the police is 50%, and they're only 13% of the population. Ergo, it must be discrimination. Sorry, I don't know if they forgot Statistics 101. That's not how it works.
Man.
Right? What we did was say, look, here is two people are in a situation with police. Their behavior is the same. The other conditions on the ground are the same. The police decides to shoot one and not the other. Is race a factor? In other words, accounting for everything else about that situation, does race predict whether or not a police officer will pull the trigger? And the answer emphatically is no. And that is the result.
Now, I'm gonna let it play back for y'all because a lot of y'all ain't gonna want to accept that answer. But
predict whether or not a police officer will pull the trigger. And the answer emphatically is no.
Goddamn.
And that is the result that caused panic in a lot of people. Most people like the first result.
What did it do to you? What did it do to you? I mean,
okay, so yeah, everybody liked the first result of, black people are more likely to get roughed up during a police arrest. Yeah, okay, yeah, it keeps that victimized mindset. That victim mindset that us black people love to hold on to so much for some crazy reason. But the other part where but they're not killing us though? Because, hey, I'm cool with being roughed up. I'll take the rough up over being, unalived. You feel me? I feel like we'd all take a little roughing up over being unalived.
Because there's certain... you're seeking the truth, because that's what you keep saying with Barry Weiss, right? I'm trying to get to a truth. And I love what you said, and you said it again earlier.
Make sure to like the video and subscribe.
One of the
Appreciate the
documentaries
love.
I watched, I think it was like 26, 27 minutes, where it says, I'm not trying to beat the odds, because one guy, what does it feel like, Roland, that you beat the odds? You're like, I'm not trying to beat the odds. I'm trying to change the odds, right? But individually, we're also going through a journey. There's a difference between saying, guys, look what I found. You will not believe this report. Look at what I found. But what am I going through? Yeah. What are you going through with the life that you live?
At that time, I was not aware of what was going to come. So when we had the results, we pursued two tracks. One, you obviously publish it, and we published it on a top economics journal. Great. 7 people read it. Maybe 6. The second path is we wanted a more popular version of the article, so the New York Times wrote about it. And for me personally, when people respond, people send me an email and say, hey, your paper's crap, or hey, your paper's great, I do all I can to return every single one of those. And so for me, I sat for days and returned thousands and thousands of emails from regular old Americans in Kansas and in Idaho and in Chicago who said, I don't know if I believe this or not, but thank goodness there's actually data and we can actually have a debate about it.
Facts, though. Thank God there's data, and now we can have a debate about it. Now that we have numbers, we can actually talk about this. Like, okay, so instead of giving black people this victim mindset, let's teach them actually how to deal with the police when they're pulled over. Let's teach them how to actually be respectful to police instead of trying to be aggressive. We might even bring down them aggression numbers. You feel me?
And we went back and forth. And that's kind of what I do for a living, right? I'm a professor. I'm supposed to be teaching, not just in the classroom. But if you release a paper like this is what you do. So what happened to me? I got a chance to teach. And if you remember that time, I didn't do any other press. This wasn't about me out there thumping my chest trying to be on whatever news channel saying, hey, look what I found. We put it out there, and then I, over email and other means, tried to communicate directly with people about what the results were about.
But what I'm asking is, what did it do to you? So because life, okay, I grew up in Iran, and I see 10,000 men marching, flagellating their backs, screaming, "Matic Omri called death upon America. America must be an evil empire." Then I watch Rocky IV, and Rocky and Drago are fighting. Drago, and then Rocky. And if you can change, he can change. Anybody can change. I'm like, man, maybe we can bring Soviet Union and us and unify and realize we have a lot in common, right? And I'm like, wait a minute. But that's a movie. That's fake. This is real. America.
Hey, make sure to let me know y'all thoughts in the chat. I'm here. Let's get back to it.
Must be evil. Then you go to Germany, live at a refugee camp. Parents get a divorce. Mom says, because that entire family were communists, their Bible was Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto. Rich people are greedy. Dad, on the other side, is an imperialist. They believe poor people are lazy. And then I get into the military. I get into sales. I can
get down that idea.
And then I see the person that bitches the most.
Yeah, I can get down that idea. Poor people are lazy.
Most work the least. The guy, I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? And it changed my opinion about economy, about work, about politics, about capitalism, about who to vote for, about who not to vote for, about who's manipulating, about who wanted to use me, about who wanted to keep me poor, about who wanted to kind of make sure I didn't figure out the secrets to life, that I can go out there and figure myself out, about how they use fear to control, to keep your mouth shut, all of these things that I'm going through as a kid, right? And I'm like in my 20s, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. What did you go through one-on-one, not anybody else? Did it change anything away from what you witnessed in your life to go back and say, man, I remember Bobby back in high school.
I'm going to let y'all ride out for a little bit. I'll be right back.
Unfortunately, they sold him. He bought it. He's dead now. He was smarter than me in math. If he knew what I knew, he could have been. That sucks. So it was really the social, economic. It wasn't a skin color, but he was convinced it was a skin color. Why do we buy? Did you go through that evolution yourself?
Of course. Yeah, of course. On a couple dimensions. One, I was disappointed in social scientists. I didn't realize there was so much politics in academia until that point. I really thought that we were out there, all of us, searching for the truth. I mean, we sit in these seminars and we beat the crap out of each other's ideas and papers, and it's all about trying to get to a place of what's correct and what's not. And to see people who I respected for years lose their way because there was a result they didn't like. It was very shocking to me.
Can I ask you a question, Roland?
Yeah.
So you do this research, you have a fact check, double check, then the truth is there. Why do you think that truth is such a threat to your colleagues, to the powers that be?
Because they need to push that victim mindset. They need to make us afraid of the police so they can push to defund the police. So they can go launder some money out to whatever else they want to do, whatever else agenda they got for the money. All I know is that when you make decisions out of fear and scarcity, I promise you, the decision never ends out well.
Going up the ladder to Harvard to just the powers that be, it's such a threat. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't think the results themselves were a threat to them. I think they wanted to be on the right side of a particular issue. I never thought of people as sheep until that moment.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's crazy you say that. My entire life, growing up, I don't have a 4-year, I don't have a 2-year, I don't even have an associate's. I had a 1.8 GPA in high school. I was a math guy. I love calculus, love math analysis. I can do math all day long. Had no interest for anything else. Troubled teenage, kids got divorced, all this stuff. So my route was, I'm going to go to the Army. He went to the Air Force. He was the airman of the year in the Air Force. So we're military. Tom's dad was a rocket scientist, literally was a rocket scientist. I'm not saying this as a... So Tom went, he became a professor, adjunct professor at Pepperdine, at Biola. He's probably had $2 billion of exits and raising money, so he goes to Silicon Valley. So when Steve Jobs and Bill Gates do that interview that 300 people worldwide are invited to be there, he's one of them. That's Tom. Tom's background is that. So Tom is academia, more coming from this side. But a part of it, I remember when I went to Harvard and for their OPM program, Owner President Management Program, you had to do $10 million a year to be able to go there. And I qualified.
Hey.
So I'm like, Tom's like, Pat, just go. I'm like, Tom, we're running a company. He's like, Pat, I'm telling you, go. We got the company. We're good. I hired Tom to be the president of our company at the time. So I go for 3 weeks. Now, let me tell you what time it is when I go there. I go during the debate between Hillary Clinton and Trump.
Oh, wow.
And I go to this chow hall. I thought chow hall, like, military. But this is a different chow hall. It's CHAO. It's an Asian man that gave $100 million to Harvard.
Chow hall.
Oh, goddamn. Asian man who give $100 million. Goddamn. Well, okay. Shout out him.
After him. Mr. Chow. Okay, chow hall.
Yeah.
So I go to chow hall. There's 300 people from Harvard watching this debate. And I'm thinking, Jelly would, Vinny, my. Seriously, do it fast. You're doing it slow so we can hear it. So I'm at this chow hall place, and I'm hearing these guys. And I sit in the sideline, say nothing. And it's the line, because you'd be in jail, right?
Oh, man.
Aren't we glad that a man like this isn't in the White House making the decisions and having control of whatever she says, because you'd be in jail, right? And boo! I'm like, it has to be 50-50. Now, like, I want to see 300 people in a room.
Hey, that's something to tell somebody. It's like, hey, Hillary did come at Trump crazy. And he said, yeah, because your ass would be in jail for treason and some other things. And you know what? We might dig into what your husband was doing, too. So you might want to just pipe down real quick.
It's got to be 60-40. I'm like, Trump just said something. The Trump people should root for him. Nothing. So this kept going for the 2-hour debate. Not 300 people are in chow hall. Not one person got up. The OPM program is a 3-year program. I'm supposed to go every year for 3 weeks. I go to my main person. I said, are you guys 100? Do you believe in debate? Of course we do. Is this a place where you guys entertain opposing ideas? Of course we do. Can I ask why 100%? So what do you think about Trump? He says, oh, he would be a terrible president. I said, why is it 100% of you all agree that Trump's a bad person? Why is that? I thought you guys were about debate. I said, I can't come back to the school. Never went back. Wow. I couldn't go back. The reason wasn't...
That's crazy. So pretty much because he asked the question, Harvard was like, yeah, well, I'm sorry, but wherever he was at was like, yeah, nah, you can't come back here, G. It's like, if you're not against Trump, you can't be in this auditorium.
I enjoy debate. I want to sit down with Stephen A. Smith and I were talking 2 days ago. Let's sit down and have a great conversation together. I love it. Yesterday I had a friendly debate with the lawyer for John Barnett, who is the lawyer for the Boeing whistleblower on, hey, he committed suicide. Some of the stuff just doesn't add up. A company lost $50 billion on valuation. No, he just loved Boeing. It was nothing bad. Like, I don't know. I got some questions. I'm curious, right? Let's have the banter. But when I saw that, I said, this is not a university. They're full of shit. Now, this is my opinion. You don't have to have that position. This is my position. Why? And then COVID takes place, and then you saw how extreme they got, and they say they're against for education. And then parents asked and said, hey, I know I'm spending this kind of money for my kids to come and stay on campus. Now you don't want them to be on campus. You want them to come from home. Can we get some savings? Nope. Harvard degree is worth the whole.
Hold on. So you telling me that these parents were paying the full scholarship even though their kids was off campus? Bro, that's like at least 10 bands off tuition. At Harvard, you got to spend $50 a year, $50K a year. So it should have been $40K for that 1 year or a couple semesters that they wasn't on campus. But nope, Harvard charged them the whole thing. Hey, that's fucked up. That's fucked up, chat.
Whole price. You got $60 billion in endowment. So all of these things made me go from, you're from Harvard? Oh my God. How are you? Dr. Roland G. Fryer. You're from Oxford? You're from this? You're from that? Tell, yeah, you know what? I don't know if you guys believe in debate. That's where my mind went to, because what I witnessed on Harvard campus for those 3 weeks. I could be wrong. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the individual faculty members involved. It really does. I mean, you know, I ask myself all the time, who is Harvard? What does that even mean, right? And if you were to come to my class, for example, I teach an undergraduate class that talks about issues like how much discrimination there is in the world, whether or not what education policy should we have? What do we know empirically about the effects of slavery on current outcomes? And you have fierce debate in that class, and I think you'd be proud of what the students are doing in terms of different viewpoint diversity. If you go to other places on campus, it might be different. I don't know. So it's a big place, and but it doesn't surprise me what you've described.
Rob, can you pull up what I just texted you? I just literally Googled this right now, because you know how you can go and find out and say, the article came out saying what percentage of Twitter executives and employees donate to the left or the right? And then it was like 99%. I'm like, what?
Nigga,
and
what?
Have you ever seen this?
Hold on. So you tell me you have an employment, all right. So you tell me everybody in Twitter was all left. Everybody vote Democrat. That's crazy. Because there's no way, even at my job, yeah, we got some people who lean towards the left, but it's kind of like, bro, not everybody's on the left. That'd have been a very weird environment to live in and kind of hostile, because then it's like that becomes the culture. So pretty much if you're not left leaning, or at least pretend to be left leaning, you can't work at Twitter.
Chart or no? Rob, can you pull up that chart? Because that's public. It's not hard to kind of find.
You're getting discriminated based off your ideas.
We have it.
And what you believe in.
Then I said, okay, let me go a little bit further. This is different. This is just, let me go show to the top. Harvard Corporation members donated heavily to Democrats ahead of the 2022 midterms. Look how much of it is red. You got the Pritzker family, heavy duty. You got the Wells. There's zero red. There's zero bipartisan. The only person that is Paul Finnegan, and slightly red, all blue. This is pretty much 95% is all blue. So now, does it mean blue is right and red is wrong? Does it mean conservative policies and living a conservative life fiscally is a bad thing? Does it mean maybe if I go to Harvard, I have to be a liberal if I come out of Harvard? Because if all these smart people at these places, God forbid, if I'm a conservative at a place like that, I may get ousted. You know, and I know you have a very, very good relationship with Claudine Gay. And I know you guys are best friends.
Yeah, barbecuing, hanging out.
You know, you were having breakfast.
Yup, D, I'm going to stay yapping. Let's go. Of course, I'm a yap. It's commentary.
This morning was great. But so you hear a Claudine Gay, and you come out and you report this win in 20 2017. I Googled literally right now to see your article about, New York Times, Star Economist.
And Claudine Gay was taken out for like plagiarizing. I guess some of her work was plagiarized, and for her not handling the anti-Semitic riots that were going on in Harvard.
Writes this article, and that was in 2017, okay, whatever it was, right? And then they're telling you what you're doing. The next one comes out.
Make sure to like and subscribe if you're feeling the content.
Harvard faces sexual harassment complaints.
Unlike D, I hope you appreciate the
And I went through your tweets. There was nothing about your tweets that was sexual. They were actually funny. You're like, maybe if I didn't spend so much time studying stuff, maybe I'd be better in sex. Yeah. I'd love to go to France. I actually looked at your tweets.
Text.
Your text. I'm like, yeah, I mean, we all probably talk like that every once in a while, right? So then they come after you. Then Claudine Gay, behind closed doors, is trying to talk to Larry Bobo. I don't know who it was, trying to get you to lose your tenure. This is pre her being president. And do you kind of sit there and say, dude, are we not protected? Are you guys not trying to target me? Did that thought at all cross your mind that this school doesn't like some of the positions? And Claudine Gay, maybe the average person on the left would say Claudine Gay should probably defend you, right? If you're really you should be on my side, right? When you were going through that, and obviously I'm not telling the whole story, but when you were going through that, how are you processing all that experience?
It was hard to process it. And what I focused on was what I could do better, really. Right? Like when anything happens in life, you have a choice. You can either look in the mirror or you can look out the window.
Fair use, by the way. Make sure to like, subscribe if you're feeling the content.
No. And the first thing I do is look in the mirror. And you're right. It's debatable whether or not telling jokes is worth that kind of penalty. But maybe I shouldn't have told them, right? And so,
do you really believe that, though? Do you really believe that?
Yeah. The first thing I did was I went to executive coaching because I didn't understand, right? Like I know it's maybe hard for some people to think, well, you're a Harvard professor, you must know better. We talked about how I got to be a Harvard professor. And nowhere in that journey was management training. Nowhere in that journey was, hey, I am very, very casual, right? So when I think we're friends, we're friends. And so I feel like we can talk about anything. If you have Thanksgiving at my house, then I feel like we can banter in any way we want. Mm-hmm. It's just the way I roll. Mm-hmm. And so it never dawned on me that, for years, I had lots and lots of students in my house for Thanksgiving. And so those students I had a different type of bantering with than ones that didn't. Mm. And so I treated my, workplace for people who, I knew well, like my living room, and I shouldn't have done that. And I don't know if it truly hurt someone. They said it, a few years later, they said it did. And if it did, my God, I'm sorry.
Hold on. So how did expressing ideas in your own house hurt somebody? It's crazy, bro. I swear to God, people be way too soft these days. He said that there might not be no police shooting bias, and it hurt me for real. Oh my God.
Because that's not what I had intended. So it's really not about what I believe. It's about what could be and whether or not I can actually change my behavior. So that I've done. Now, what was I thinking during that whole process? It was very, very confusing. And I had to figure out if I could actually do the work I wanted to do at a university. And more importantly, I had to figure out, because the world was treating me very differently from Monday to Tuesday during that time in my life, how I could still be on this mission to have impact. How was I going to get the work done that I needed to get done if I couldn't publish here or talk about academic papers there or have research assistants or what have you? How was I still going to make a difference? And that's what I was truly focused on.
Yeah.
Man on a mission.
You sound very nice.
It's not about nice, man. I want to be effective.
Yeah. No, I get that. But to me also, from the outside, do you think the approach they took to get it public and the way it was a form of trying to embarrass you a little bit? Was it a form of making an example? Because that could have been handled privately,
Yeah, it felt personal.
Okay.
It felt personal. But again, maybe I'm being, you call it nice, but what you going to do about that?
Hey.
Right? Like back in the neighborhood I grew up in, people would say, man, fuck school, man. These people discriminating. What the hell are you going to do about that?
No,
you got
facts.
a choice. You can either get up and work your butt off and see what comes of it, or you can sit here and talk about what you can't do.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
And so
Appreciate
during
y'all
that time,
for sticking around.
Yes. I could have sat around. I'm not sure anybody would have listened during that time, but I could have sat around and said, woe is me. It's not my style. I've never done that. Never.
On God, man, kill the victim mentality. I swear you can reach higher levels as a black man or a black woman. Just kill that victim shit. Excuse my language.
And I wasn't going to start then. What I had to figure out is I got 2 kids in private schools. How we gonna make that work out? Yeah. Right? I got kids. My kids, I grew up hating rich kids, and now I got 2 of them. They like brie and shit. How am I going to afford brie? Right? Like I got those are the problems I got.
So funny.
Right?
Real nigga problems.
Well, were you protected? Were you protected from a Claudine Gay that tried to get you to lose your tenure so they could fire you? Were you protected? Do you feel protected that they can't touch you and do anything to you because you came up with a study that goes against Claudine Gay and maybe, her connection to former President Barack Obama, who's loved by folks like Claudine Gay or the Democratic Party, where she may lose favor there? Why would you write a paper like this? This goes against our agenda of us being able to do this. We can't come up with. Do you feel safe today? Like, meaning if you do the next thing and you come up with, like, for example, right now, let's just say the next thing inspires you. Do you believe words have power?
I do.
Do you believe affirmations, daily affirmations? You give me the vibes of somebody that believes in daily affirmations.
Not at all.
Are you meaning, do you?
Hey, them affirmations are important, man. Make sure you tell yourself you're great every day. Like facts. All right, let's get right back into it.
You believe that when you said, I am never going to pout. I've never been that guy.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of affirmation. Okay. Like you believe that's who you are, right? Okay. So words have power. So, let's say next thing you get obsessed with, you're like, you know what? I want to find out if the CIA was involved in bringing hip hop rap to the African American community and writing a song called F the Police, and that goes viral, and we pin the African American community against cops, and words have a lot of power. You and I can probably, I can recite a lot of songs by Tupac. I can recite a lot of songs by.
Yo, that's one hell of a, he pretty much saying, hey, maybe the CIA hijacked hip hop to push negativity into the black community. And if they did that, then I ain't gonna lie. And they got us on that note. They got us.
Bone Thugs and Harmony by, RBL Posse, probably by a lot of those rappers from my time, right? And when you say some of the words, you're like, oh, shoot, I just go Eazy-E, and wow, what am I saying? More murder, come again. Or, what are we talking about here, right?
Weak.
Now, what if you all of a sudden are inspired to do that? And you do the study, and it comes out it's true. Hip hop used to be not gangster rap. 80s hip hop is different than 90s hip hop, right? And today's mumble hip hop, and you've seen Snoop say "mama na mama na hama na." It's a very different rap, right? So what if you get inspired to want to investigate that, and all of a sudden you find out, dude, these guys freaking tried to do this to us to put in jail so our communities would be hurt with social economics. That's dirty. Would you feel safe doing that investigation and that research today?
Slow down.
Well, first, I'm going to answer that directly.
Please.
It's a great question. First, if you take out the CIA angle, which I hadn't heard about, I'm doing exactly that study right now.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay, so we'll get
beautiful.
to that.
Sick.
It's great.
So
Hey, look out for my man's next study. Did the CIA hop into hip hop and take it over? I can't wait.
I'm fascinated with the impact
My man dropping banger
not
studies.
just hip-hop generally on inequality, but the specific
banger studies.
words and language, because I do believe that words matter. And AI has now come out and allowed us to do this in a much more serious way and scalable way. We can talk about that later. Would I feel safe? No, but I've never felt safe, and I'm not going to.
But you got to buy brie cheese.
You got to get brie cheese. You better get on.
Dude, you got to be careful with that cheese. That's expensive.
You know, I'm stocking it up. I'm the only black person with brie in the freezer. So I got brie on layaway and shit.
So you're a prepper. So
every week I put something on it.
So you're saying you're a prepper, right?
Oh my God!
You're getting ready for post-scarcity world.
Give me this comb tea on.
Oh my God!
On layaway.
Oh my God!
I was afraid. I said I don't feel safe. They're different.
Don't feel safe.
No, I don't. Right? Like, and it's okay. I don't remember the last time I felt safe.
Damn.
I went to a friend of mine. I only have a couple of them from school days. And I went to him and I said, man, there's so much uncertainty. What do I do? He lives right outside of Dallas. And he said to me, but you love uncertainty.
Hey,
I was like, no, I don't. He said, well, it seems like you do, right? Because you've lived in it for so long.
Sure.
So yes, I don't feel safe. I'm not going to feel safe.
Hey.
After our back and forth between Harvard and I'm never going to feel safe. That's just not an option. But I'm going to keep going because I'm willing to die on this hill.
Now, why are you investigating this though? Linked with hip hop and
it's the biggest cultural revolution that I've seen in my lifetime. And
fair use, by the way. Make sure to like and subscribe. You still tuned in. Appreciate the love. Let's get back into it.
And we have no idea what the impacts of it are on economic mobility, inequality, teen pregnancy, all sorts of other social factors. So I would ask you the question, how can I not?
Yep.
Listen, I admire that you're doing it because respect to you. Because again, Rob, what was the first gangster rap song? What was the first one?
Oh man,
what's the first gangster rap song? Like the first.
Yeah, I respect them too, though. Like, bro, you took on there's no police bias shooting. Now you're about to say that our rap music been ran by white people. I ain't gonna lie, bro. You about to have some niggas out here like, man, it's about to be crazy.
The popular
Look out
one
for Roland.
I don't care if it's okay.
Roland
So Ice-T had
Roland G.
been
Fryer.
emceeing since the early '80s, but he first turned to gangster rap themes after being introduced to Schoolie D's self-titled debut album, and especially the song PSK, What Does It Mean, which is regarded to the first gangster rap song Schoolie D had, Am I Black Enough for You, in the album of 1989. So that's the first one, right? Rob, can you go to the lyrics of After Police? Can you go to, let me see this here. If we go to lyrics, and let's see if there's, okay, right now with NW and full of action. Some of the police straight from the underground, young, got a bad because I'm down and brown and not the other color since police. So police think they have the authority to kill a minority because I ain't the one for a punk mother with a badge and a gun to be. When you read this, obviously it was a hit.
I was gonna put y'all.
I mean,
the beat was great.
First of all, I listened to it.
My mom would sing this. My mom was like, she'd hear a siren, she'd be like, the police. I'm like, Mom.
I tell you, I'm 14 years old. You should ask this question to my dad.
Okay.
I said, Dad, can you stop by Warehouse? My parents are divorced. I see him every other week. I'm like, buy me a tape, 99 cents. You go to Warehouse, you pick something up. He says, which one? I said, it's just this new jazz song that came out by this guy named Eazy-E. It's a jazz song. So yeah, it's called Real Mother. You know, it's like.
Hey, he played that shit so smooth because Eazy-E, hey, I could pass off as a jazz artist.
Well, you know how.
Yeah, of course.
So he says, oh, okay, let's go. We go buy it. And we get in the car. I'm like, freaking awesome.
Oh,
this is great hip. You know, this is finally I can play something while I'm working out when I'm going to YMCA. And he says, I want to hear this jazz song. So you don't want to hear it. It's not your type.
Gabriel,
you should ask him.
I'm going to.
He's listening to it. When I put it in, and he says, Yeah, no. We went back for 99 cents. This guy returned it back to warehouse. He says, you're not going to listen to that. I said, well, I listened to it anyways. But back in the days, it was a different story.
Man.
So,
God, back in the day, you needed that. You needed that CD. You needed that tape, or you wasn't listening to that.
I admire you for wanting to pursue this, to see, what kind of... Do you believe, without even doing the research, that it did have major impact in the community?
Yeah, but probably different than you imagine.
You think so?
Wow.
My hypothesis is that it had different effects depending upon where you were living. I don't know if this is true or not now, and I'm on record saying I was completely wrong about the police. But my view is for people who live in the inner cities, this is going to have very little effect. I think it's already, this type of language is already out there. People are already having these discussions. That's where the songs come from. Now the question is, for the kid in the suburb, who those discussions were not having, right? So imagine you move your kids out to the suburb, right? And then you're trying to get away from some of these things. And then now they can just tune in on radio and get the same and log in and tap into that type of identity. That might be dangerous. So that's my hypothesis, is that yes, it's going to have big effects, but not where you imagine.
And music, if you think about it, music is so powerful. We always talked about it, especially with like putting a trance on people. Like if you listen to gangster rap, be honest, you feel like that. When you listen to jazz,
give me that gangster rap. Come on, man, that car, bro. Let's be real. You start speeding in that effer, man. You gotta watch the language out here.
As your mood changes, you're happy, and easy, like you said. You take somebody out of the hood, and now they're in the suburbs and stuff, and then they hear the police. When they get pulled over, what do you think their attitude's gonna be?
Do you have a clip of what Ice Cube said about this? He didn't say. Do you have the other clip with the CIA guy or no?
Well, I don't have the clip, but his name is John Holmes. Said he's a retired CIA agent. And
Play this clip. Play this clip, Ron.
Okay, let's take rap music.
Let's take it.
Same people who own the labels own the prisons. So,
wow.
Literally the same people? Literally the same people who own the labels own private prisons.
God damn.
So, it seems really kind of suspicious, if you want to say that word, that, the records that come out are really geared to push people towards that prison industry.
But they didn't make you write those lyrics.
It's not about making somebody write the lyrics.
And God, it's not about making them. It's about supporting it. It's about giving it more plays, giving it bigger numbers. That's the real scam behind it. That's how they get these artists to make more of that, degenerate music.
It's about being there as guardrails to make sure certain songs make it through and certain songs don't.
Wow.
Certain flavors are exposed on the record. Some records are made by committee. Meaning record company guys sit around and tell the artists, this is hot, say that, do this. We're going to have this guy write the lyrics.
Oh, shit.
We're going to have that. So the narrative is really kind of, structured and really made into what the record company want the record to be.
You can pause it right there, Ron.
A lot of artists are...
You should make a song called Hug the...
Man, look, bro, make sure to like and subscribe, man. S.E.T and Key Media, wildest reaction channel on YouTube, covering all the other topics that these other reaction channels do not want to cover. We got y'all here.
Police, just to flip it around.
Love the police.
Appreciate the love.
Love the police.
You remember that one reverend?
That better have a real good beat.
Like fantastic
beat.
Yeah. They have to get like Scott Storch or somebody really good to make a sick beat.
But by the way, if there's anybody that is qualified to speak on that, it's Ice Cube.
1,000%.
Is there anybody bigger than him? I just right now we came up with the first. Ice Cube's name is linked to it, so he has the moral authority to talk about that. Tom, you were talking about a man earlier, George. I think it's Wackenhut or whatever his name was. Can you unpack the story you were telling us before?
Yeah. So there's a bit of a rabbit hole here, but
we love those, Tom.
But no, it's real. So George Wackenhut, pioneered privatized prisons. where rather than governments building prisons, it's like, hey, you need a prison. How about we build it for you? And it'll be, the state of California correctional facility, whatever it is.
Man, I'm going to go ahead and give y'all this gem right here, man. Anything that's private owned has a private interest. Because, boy, there's definitely a private interest in the prison industry.
And, you just send your customers, your criminals here, we'll take care of them, and you just pay us by the person.
Mostly.
And then we'll take it. That way you don't have to build it, because you have to get these big bonds to build schools, water infrastructure, prisons. They come up on ballots all the time. And people say, need another prison? They used to say, yes. Oh my goodness, we're going to reduce crime or build a prison. Never mind if they do the research on recidivation rates. It's a fallacy. Most prisons are crime college, and they come back out and go back in.
These are facts.
Unfortunately. And Wackenhut was acquired by GS4 or G4, whatever it was. And what's interesting is the privatization of American prisons was like turbocharged. And I think it's, Rob, a prison now, GS4, G4, that bought Wackenhut. And it's a major international conglomerate now. And what was interesting is they needed customers, and the private prison industry in California lobbied for the three strikes law. And the three strikes law that...
Yeah, here's also one of my... But why are we allowing prison to go ahead and give okay, I'm just saying these prisoners need to do something. But why are certain businesses using prisoners for labor when they can go ahead and give that and add more jobs to our economy? Really think about that. They're giving jobs to prisoners so they can pay them less instead of giving them to us to fuel our economy. Really think about that.
Here comes a rabbit hole that Attorney General Kamala Harris in California, she greenlit and modified the weight-based possession implies distribution. You know what I'm talking about? That over a certain weight, like over an ounce of marijuana, you're intending to distribute. Right. And now they can turn what was possession for my birthday party into a felony distribution charge, and you get three strikes, and now the customers are filling the prisons, and there's a big cycle there. But there it is, G4S. And now they are a giant operator of privatized prisons, and they needed customers. And then the three strikes law, it's always good to be a politician running.
G4S, a whole private prison system.
To be tough on crime. Yeah. And now you have this big cycle that comes around. You're nodding a little bit. Have you, looking back into, you were looking into crime statistics and have you dove into that and had thoughts on that?
I haven't at all. I'm not an expert at all on private prisons and didn't know Wackenhut until you just mentioned it. But obviously, I've heard of him and the viewpoints about the issues with private prisons. I'm aware of, but I don't. I didn't look into it in terms of research. No.
And the three strikes law, certainly California, had a very bad effect.
Yeah, of course.
Because you took young men that probably should have been in and out for a minor charge, and suddenly three strikes, they're in. And now they're in crime college.
Right.
And it's horrible. What was interesting to me about all this, we're talking also about music and how, there are these social triggers. It'd be really interesting to see the depth of your research that comes out of that.
Tom was a big Rap and Forte guy.
Crime college is hilarious,
Tom was a Biggie, Tupac.
It is a crime college. Bro, really think about it. You will go in there and then somehow get connected with the cartel. You probably find a new plug in jail or in prison. You get even further connected into the criminal world. Crime college.
When I look at Tom, I say,
pick a profession, man.
I think fuck the police.
Get you right.
No. That's what we're talking about. That's what he was singing in the way here today. Yeah, he doesn't play games, bro.
He was humming in the green room.
Not to be proud of, but
here we go.
April of my senior year, and in college, I found myself in the back of a police car at 10:15 in the morning. 6 moving violations in 2 miles and attempting to evade pursuit. That last one really gets them going, by the way. And I was pulled over, and I'm wearing a tie and a white shirt. I was late for work, driving like a complete idiot. And when I had my hands on the back of my car and I'm answering questions, and they then emptied out my car. They were looking for a seat or a rolling paper, anything. There's nothing in my car. But the back of my head, he gave me a push and he bounced my chin and my nose on the back of my car.
Oh my God.
I didn't get bloodied.
Motive, Tom.
No, I didn't get bloodied up.
Find that guy.
I didn't get bloodied up, but the point is there's a different world out there. And if you want to cross over into the world of law enforcement, it's a different world.
And that's when you drove away and you played the police loud. You were like, yeah, bitch. Like, I know what you did, Tom.
I got to go to I got to ride in a police car, and I got to get.
But Roland, you don't talk the talk. You walk the walk. When you said you were doing your research, you went with cops on the ride-alongs, and you said your attitude kind of changed because you were like, yo, this is not an easy job. You know what I'm saying? Like what? And I remember the story that you said, Roland, about showing up and somebody OD'd, and you were like, yo, let's go get drinks on me. And they're like, what are you talking about, bro? We still got to finish the job. Out of all the ride-alongs, what was like the craziest thing that you saw that you were like, oh my God? Because you went through simulation too, correct?
Yeah. It was the busting in the row house and watching someone OD. Yeah, man. That was, you know, it's not every day you see that up in Cambridge. Thank goodness. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was crazy. But it did. I think because. Given what's happened with in the relationship with police, people aren't talking enough about the police mental health. That's something I'm very, very interested in. We have all this data out there from body cam footage and other data. We should be developing predictive models that say, hey, this thing's going to escalate because in the past, this is what it looked like before someone did something that was against, policy. So can we have predictive models to figure that stuff out? I mean, I think it's a really, really hard job, and it's hard not to, I'm embarrassed, but it's hard not to see everyone. I mean, as a criminal, you're out there like an Uber driver, just chasing around going, what are you doing? What is that person doing? Yeah. And on the other side, when you roll down the street, people just stop and start scattering, right?
Exactly.
And so it's two sides to it. And that was probably the best education I'd gotten since my grandmother taught me how to read, was going around with the police and understanding what they see relative to what I thought was going on.
Long term, what are you solving for? Long term, like, are you aspirational? Is it, hey man, just leave me alone. Let me teach. Let me write some papers. Let me do my thing. Let me be a father. Let me be a husband. Let me do my thing, and I'm enjoying my life. I have no aspiration for anything else outside for being a professor and getting to the bottom of certain articles and issues that I'm interested in. What?
I don't know. If you keep going down this path, man, Harvard gonna get his butt up out of there, like going.
What's long term? What are you solving for long term?
No, I'm bad at all those things you mentioned because of my real aspiration, which is to fundamentally change the trajectory for minorities in America. Maybe that's too aspirational, but that's it. It is. My grandmother used to say, why do you work so hard? You're killing yourself, et cetera. And I said, when we believe that the market for talent is perfect, I'll stop. I don't take days off. I haven't had a vacation in more than a decade.
Man, shoot, look at S.E.T and Key Media's catalog, man. We don't be taking days off either. Back to back out here.
I work Christmas Day because I am absolutely on a mission to ensure that everyone's got a fair shot at this thing.
What are your thoughts with affirmative action?
The details matter when it comes to affirmative action, right? So I'm sure I benefited from it, and I needed it. I was a hot mess when I showed up on a college campus, and there was more potential than my test scores would have shown because of what it took to get those test scores. Now, my daughters, if my daughters need affirmative action, it's not because they face systemic bias. It's because they suck. Right? Like, we put everything into them.
Nah, that's a real statement, though. It's like, yo, if I have daughters and I gave them the best education and all that, and they need affirmative action, yeah, they kind of suck. They ass. Like, how?
Right, I'm sitting, this morning, getting ready to come here. My wife texts me a link to a video with my 7-year-old playing the piano. It was awful. And I thought to myself, see, like every passion is explored. Club soccer, piano, horseback riding. They're bad at them all.
But she can eat brie cheese like a champ. Yeah.
Trust me. Okay? Trust me.
Yeah.
But we do everything we can to make sure that whatever passion they have is watered, is nurtured. And so and they go to the best schools that we can afford. And so if they get to the end of that journey and they need lower standards, that is not okay, right? Now, on the other hand, if you take a kid from the inner cities or from Iran or wherever in the world, and they have slightly lower test scores but went through the shit to get them, that person's got more talent. And if you put them in a university and free them up from those constraints of their community and maybe their neighbor.
All right, that's a fair argument. He's pretty much saying that affirmative action shouldn't be used for, like, I guess the minorities or, okay, let's just say this. If you ain't white and you grew up in a pretty good household, you grew up in at least middle class or higher, you shouldn't get affirmative action. If your parents was making at least $80K or above in a household, you don't need affirmative action. You was able to stay in a nice neighborhood that provided a good education. You don't need it. The person who does need it is the motherfucker who grew up in the hood, who went to the hood school and got all A's. That person needs affirmative action, to be honest with you. And I still don't believe in affirmative action on that regard. But it's a decent argument. Like, we can debate it. And even I can debate. I can debate on that side of it.
Neighborhood, maybe even their own parents. I believe they can flourish. So for me, it is all about finding people with the highest latent talent. And that doesn't always show up in test scores. So having this blind, like, I just take the person with the highest S.E.T., I think that's wrong too. On the other hand, taking people who are from affluent families with low test scores who haven't had that kind of struggle, that's also wrong. And so I think it is all about the details. And the way we're doing it now is just lazy. It's not correct.
You think long-term, the current model of the educational system is going to be disrupted so bad that these physical type of locations may one day no longer be around?
That's a big idea. I don't know. Because there's still a big effect from going to these places. Maybe it's less than it was 10 years ago. I don't know. But it is, particularly for minorities. And so I think that, of course, it will be disrupted. Of course it will. The question is what it will look like in 25 years. I don't know. My guess is there still will be a substantial in-person presence in the same model we see now.
Have you seen the numbers that came about that shows who AI will be affecting the most negatively?
I haven't. They put those numbers out like every day, right? Like,
oh God.
Remember, it was going to be truck drivers 5 years ago. Truck drivers look safe. Maybe data scientists are not. Software engineers might not be. But show me the list. I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
But all right, guys.
Doesn't apply to affirmative action all across the board.
I didn't say that at all. In fact, what I described is much more market-based. The thing is, it is.
All right, let's wind it down right about here. And I hope y'all enjoyed the show. I hope y'all enjoyed the reaction, the commentary. Time to give y'all some closing thoughts, man. That was a good one. Beat by Kid for the closing commentary. Look, man. Sometimes you gotta get ready to accept these hard facts. And right now, the hard fact is that a man did a tough research on a tough topic. Went out there, rode with the police, went out there, got all the empirical data, all the numbers, and came out with two facts. Fact number one. Yes, black people are more likely to get roughed up in a police confrontation. That's true. Now, but then here's the other fact. Fact number two. There is no racial bias in police shootings. And I know. I'm thinking the same damn thing. Like, ain't no goddamn way. What? How? But that's the fact here, and that's what he's provided to us. And he did the study twice with different research analysts. So if you want to sit here and ignore that, then I don't know what to tell you. We're just gonna have to go on and read it through. Because I need to read it through my damn self before I just go believing it. And to rap being invaded by the CIA, I can believe that. So if you tell me that the executives, the music executives who push this music to us also own the prison system, then it's kind of like a no-brainer about what's going on. It just makes sense. Like, of course we're going to push degenerate music that's going to push you into a prison system that we own. So not only are we making music off what you listen to, we're going to be also making music off what you do in the prison system. Haha. You've been played. I'm telling you, man, the white man ain't changed the strategy up yet. It's been the same strategy. And I ain't mad at him. It's just if you're smart enough to get out the way, or smarter enough to not listen, or to know better. You feel me? But I hope you guys enjoyed the show, man. I appreciate your good time. You're a real one. You're always sticking around. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to run this video to the top. A lot of people need to hear this. Make sure to share the video. All that good stuff, man. Man, this is Every Key Media. You know I love chilling with y'all, man. We're probably gonna do another one later on tonight. Peace.